Oh, yeah. All right, that's working. Thumbnails there, and audio's there. Sounds good. Thanks. Keep trying this. Doing live streams on. No, let's pull that up. Doing live streams on Wednesdays. Wednesdays live Wednesday. Because I don't know, it's a good way to connect with people, talk to people, especially since the channel is growing vastly and quickly. I think actually, if I go and pull stats, the craziness on that. Oh, my face. Yeah, you're live. I am live. I know. I just spent like the last quickly 4 minutes. I'm like, I'll just throw a thumbnail together. It'll be great, and I'll put a little live symbol in the top corner of it. Yeah, live, because the last one I quite enjoyed. Were on the live stream. It was nice to do, and you know what? I think it was 2 years ago we were pretty good on doing live streams, and then my son came into play and it kind of all fell apart. But I want to get back to doing live streams. I quite enjoy it. I quite enjoy talking to people. Dad Cam, you watch the videos. You comment actually for a bit too. If anything that's going on, especially like right now. Right now, I've been reading this whole book because I'm for my apprenticeship. I'm back at college. Have been for the last 4 weeks. To one and a half more weeks to go of my college classes, and then I take my level exam. Because apprenticeship is so much fun. Not really. Really is not fun. I hope you can hear me well. I just tested that. Of course they can. Probably in the beginning of the live stream they had the loop back. But no, I'm quite enjoying the live streams. And I've been wanting to do this and try and do this again and bring this back of being live. And I was thinking about bringing it on Wednesdays. Bringing it Wednesday live. The last one was 2 weeks ago at like 8:30. This one's starting a little bit late. 8:30 because my son's asleep. So I have time. And then I get a little bit of setup time, which I use to eat because I was paying too much attention to my phone, and my wife was like, hey, it's like almost 8:30. Yeah. That tells you how on top of it is. And it's perfect because you guys can see all the stickers. I've sent there. All those guys have sent me stickers. If there's more stickers to be sent, they'll go there too. I need to put something up there. That's for sure. But yeah, live. And I even made the thumbnail. Oh, let's exit that. Are you using StreamYard? Yes, I am. Because we were 2 years ago when all of us cleared the cars, Iron Horse Garage, and stuff with Cletus, Robert's Garage, and 6-1 and Customs. All of us 2 years ago jumped on StreamYard, and I quite enjoyed because they showed that to me. I think it actually was 615 Customs that brought me into those live streams that we were doing 2 years ago, and I very much enjoyed it. And it was very easy to use. It's very easy to, if anybody wants to join, I can bring you into the live stream pretty damn quick by sending you a link. And especially with its features to send stuff there, because even this, I think I can do here's a banner show going live right on. I can do little banner calls, and I think I can hide them. Yeah, right there, it's hidden. StreamYard is very user friendly, and so I quite enjoy it. I obviously don't pay for it. That's why the little says powered by StreamYard right in the corner there says that. It's user friendly. And I don't know much about live streaming. I used to when I was a teenager and I played video games 24/7. I never had the internet to stream. Now I have the internet to stream, but I'm not that much into video games anymore, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, mostly it's like this is where I've been the last couple of weeks, and even tonight I got to read a chapter of this again because I have to do a test on it tomorrow. It's crazy, and it's crazy how often, like, we all think of cars and we all go like, it's the same technology for the last 100 years. Yeah, but the way the technology works changes like yearly, because this is this giant book. This is my old big book, and this book came with an online textbook as well. This book is apparently outdated, and I bought this thing brand new 2 years ago, and so I had to buy a whole new book, which is, I'm not that you put it back up there. This is a big heavy book to try and put over my head, but yeah. Cars. The technology is changing a lot, especially with them trying to bring stuff in for OBD3, because right now pretty standardized is OBD2, which was brought in 1998, I think, in Canada was when OBD2 was standardized. For some reason I'm rolling the letters into each other, but now their government's trying to push OBD3, which is being able to wirelessly track the maintenance schedule of the vehicle. Oh, random thing pushed up Google showing me different stuff. No, and so OBD3, we can see it at the dealership array. Like, for example, my parents just bought a brand new truck. This truck, like, I'm scared to show anything on it because, yes, the general science is 100 years old. The education rapidly changing. It's like in the 90s when California, or I guess in the 80s for California and stuff like that, even late 70s, when all that smog technology got brought in, all of the vacuum lines everywhere. That's pretty much how all of this emission stuff works today, but instead of by vacuum, because your engine, you're able to pull how the engine's running by RPM and all that by vacuum to control everything else based off the engine's RPM. Well, now what we can do in nowadays computers is we can use a sensor to pull the engine's RPM, and then we can tell all of the other systems what to do based off of that RPM electronically by wire. But the general science and how it works, especially with emission stuff, is the exact same. Like the way an EGR works used to be vacuum opened. Now it's electronic opened. Works the same way. It's based off of engine RPM. When a certain engine RPM comes to the operation, it opens up and closes and all that funness. We're just able to, with electronically, we're just able to throw a couple more variables into that equation. That's what's changing. It's like I said, OBD2 versus OBD3. DTCs, which are test codes. That's the little check engine light code that you pull up and everything when you put in a code reader. The only difference with OBD3 is now it's saying send those codes to the dealership, and the government right now in Canada is fighting that they should have access to that. And a lot of people go, oh, that'll never come. It's already here. My father can turn on and shut off and track his truck from his phone. Even if, like, say the truck's parked, my mom takes the truck to work and she forgets the key at home. My father can go up on the app, open the doors, and start the truck with the key not even being anywhere near it over the internet. And that's the reason the truck comes with 3 years free Wi-Fi, because you pay for that Wi-Fi software so you can use your phone for all of those amenities. But the first 3 years are free because you bought it brand new. Again, the general science, opening a door is just a latch opening and closing. But like you said, the education behind it and how it works, I don't know how to explain that. How it works is the exact same way. It's a mechanism opening and closing, but how we control it, opening and closing, changes. That's what it is. And yeah, with the additions to my textbook, this old textbook talks a lot about LIN bus, which a couple of years ago, a lot of the cars coming into shops were using LIN bus. 10 years ago, LIN bus was very common. What now is all being talked about? CAD bus. We're now talking about CAD bus because LIN bus is a linear system where it only works in one line. The communication's all in one line. You can either full circle it or whatever, or it just works in one line where every module just is a series of communication. Or we talk about CAN bus, where everything is on the same line of communication, but we're able to communicate to everything at once. So we can draw lines to everything, and everything communicates within each other, sending a priority code in the way it works with ones and zeros, basic binary, which binary has been around for 100 years as well. To me, I have to simplify a lot of this stuff because they start going into rants in the classroom about certain CAN bus operations, and I'm going, okay, but that just works like this. And they're like, oh, well, it's working that. I'm like, yes, but it just works like this. Just like how electric wire controls your emission stuff. Well, it's just replaced the vacuum line. Your vacuum distributor advancing or retarding your firing order. Well, now we can do that with a computer by the ECU individually for each spark plug. Each spark plug just advances or retards the timing basing off the crankshaft sensor, which is like, I know GM's has it in the rear, because it's just you attach the little metal pins, and every open space is a spark plug, and then you use an open space that is twice as big to mark as spark plug 1, and it's the same stuff. It's no different than putting a timing light on the front of your harmonic balancer with the mark and marking timing 1 and seeing how it's marked, and then setting the timing to your distributor to each one. It's just simplifying the fact of it. It is not simplifying the fact of it because it is confusing and complex. It's hard to divulge, but it's pretty much the same systems. And I'm having to, because I know the basics and how the mechanical system works, I'm able to take all of these new systems and put it and take them and be like, well, okay, it's just replacing that. It makes me understand it way easier, and it actually helps me, especially because I work on new cars every day. Thank God my 1967 GMC is 100% analog. Yes, it is analog. It does not use DC signal. AC signal is wonderful because it's natural. In my mind, because like you look at an old record, like when you hear live music, it's in AC. It's an AC wavelengths of the sound wave. And when the sound wave is then recorded onto especially like a record or a disc, it stays more original to its AC signal, which AC signal is very hard to reproduce. And that's why when you play a record over and over and over again, the signal gets worn out, the disc gets worn out, your track gets worn out, and becomes worse and worse over time. But it gives off an AC signal again. And then you go to a digital radio, you take AC signal, my speech, you put it into that microphone, convert it into a DC signal, send it over the internet as ones and zeros, then it goes to your speaker, and your speaker converts it from DC back into AC signal. As confusing as that is, because that's the way also magnetic pulses work, and that's the way microwaves work, and that's the way, like I said, radio waves and air signals and stuff work, is all AC signal. And I can just confuse people more. But yeah, like the old truck is all AC signal. It takes off of, well, because you pull AC signal off of the coil, because you have 12 volts to your coil at all times, and then when it makes ground connection on the other side, it allows the built-up dwell, the dwelled power, the built-up amperage, to jump from the outer coil to the inner coil, because there are, I think it's that your thinnest wires are on the outside and your compressed wires are on the inside, and you have twice as many windings on the outside, and you multiply it by that, by your primary and secondary winding. You multiply your primary winding by your secondary winding, and that's how much voltage you multiply. So 12 volts in, multiplies it out, jumps up to the coil by find this, and then it transmits out to the distributor. It jumps the spark gap from the coil wire to the rotor, and then it does another spark jump gap from the rotor to the spark plug wire to the top of the distributor cap, and then it does another spark jump at the spark plug. And what is it? It's like, it can be like a very simple system is like 60,000 volts generated from that coil, from 12 volts to 60,000 volts to each spark plug, which then gets swelled down every time it jumps, because resistance in the air and resistance in the spark plug wire. It takes up a little bit of that voltage draw. AC signal, 100% AC signal. Even the alternator on an old truck is AC signal, which is, it's crazy to think about that. And it's crazy because you could have the exact same design wire, and one will transmit AC and one will transmit DC. And the only way you'll be able to see that physically, see the change in AC and DC wavelengths in wire, is by hooking up a picoscope to it and being able to see the way the voltage transmits. Again, it's just craziness. Like, if you told me this stuff years ago, I would have been like, I'm watching you live in stream of ones and zeros, which is completely true. Yeah, ones and zeros that then tell the computer which color to color in each pixel of resolution on the screen. So like, I have a 1080 by 720p computer monitor. So there's 720 pixels by 880, and each one of those pixels are told to which variants of color based off of ones and zeros being entered in through the internet. It's crazy. I don't know how they explain it. This is why I'm not a teacher, even though eventually I might want to become a teacher, because that's a cool industry to go down, to be able to teach somebody how something works. But it can confuse your brain real quickly of being like, oh, this is how this all works. This is how this technology works. Like, because it's a data line. The one wire that receives wavelengths from the internet. Now, I guess it's all fiber. So now it's all digital straight up to my house, because I have fiber optics straight up to my house. So other than, though, my rotor is not plugged into my computer, because for some reason this computer hates processing digital, I guess you could say, digital input. A Cat5 cord. My computer doesn't like that. It doesn't process the internet properly. So I actually have a Wi-Fi receiver on this computer to go to my rotor, because one, no wires across my that I have to cut into my floor and then go across my entire basement. And two, for some reason, this computer configuration works way better with just a Wi-Fi reader. Don't know why. It's always kind of been that way. It works really well when you play video games and stuff like that. That works better on a bandwidth connection. Not bandwidth, a Cat5 connection. My chair is a little loose in the handle here. I didn't notice that. I picked up this chair for free. Not for free. What did I pay for it? $25? I think I paid $25 for this office chair, so I can't complain if the handle's a little loose, because I'm a cheap bastard. Cheap where it counts. We did drop like $600 at Costco the other day, filling up on food and filling our fridge. But an office chair for me, I'll spend $25. I don't need to spend $300 for a chair that I'm sitting in. But yeah, see, I could go down the rabbit hole with that. You started analog versus digital rabbit hole, and it's crazy. And it's even to the point where the signal gets sent to your fuel pump and watching the wavelengths to determine if, because your fuel pump is like a starter motor. It has windings in it, and it has my brain is dying on it, just like any motor, a Bendix. And as it spins, every time each little Bendix hits the windings and stuff that are around it by each little magnetic pulse that sends a signal through the thing, will send a differentiate. Oh my god, I can't speak. It'll send a different resistance. Don't forget, digital technology gave us code readers. Yeah, 100%. That's all. Yeah, that would be all digital. Digital communication wires. It's why before and after almost every module where it's pulling in information from, like, say, your battery, your alternator, your whatever, is doing a AC to DC converter, converting AC into digital, ones and zeros, because digitals read ones and zeros, AC reads a wavelength of it all. So that's where your wide range can be depicted of. Oh, which is crazy. And like ones and zeros is all based off of what the module can read as what is a 1 and a 0. It's not based off of this voltage is 1 and this voltage is 0. This voltage is 1 or 0 based off of what the module says is 1 and 0, is on and off, is yes or no, is this or that. Which is rabbit hole. Can dive down that rabbit hole like crazy. And it can be a confusing rabbit hole if yeah. I confuse myself half the time on it. Like, I think in this book they were all talking about it too. There's a whole chapter on it as well. And I had to read it. That was one of the first units we went through because we're talking about CAN bus. And CAN bus is all digital. Sending out a series of ones and zeros down the communication line to learn stuff. Which is, yeah, like you said, digital technology gave us code readers. That is true. That's 100%. That's where that all speaks through a digital wavelength. It's crazy to think, like, this is processing at hundreds of thousands of communication lines of code. It's this thing, like this, our modules, our code readers are so fast and an infinity of communication. Like line bus can only get up to like, I think like 100,000 bits of code per second, where CAN bus can get up to, I think they got it up to like 500,000 now, which is like you got your class A, B, C, and now D communication lines. And yeah, I think like class B communication lines can send out 500,000 megabits per second, and a megabit is 8 bytes, which is 8 ones and zeros. In like thousands of times, even in the time span of me snapping. Like, that's crazy. A code reader in your truck is listening for pinging at Pacific RPM and loading. Yeah, I can see. Well, because it does take in some AC information as well, especially like it will. A code reader will want to see voltage in and out to be able to set up communication to your ECU, because if it doesn't see voltage and a ground, it will say we shouldn't communicate with the ECU because something's wrong with this connector. So it reads analog as well, and that's also like there's a little bit of, you can tell RPM based off of how much amperage you're getting out of your alternator, because it should be giving out a certain amperage at certain RPMs, which then gives you your voltage to your battery and to your entire system. Crazy. Which works in multiple ways. Like that's, it's crazy. And funny enough that you say code reader, I'm thinking about buying a scan tool just because it is so easy to read top dead center when you go into a scan tool and you're missing it. Your ear is the code reader above. Yeah, okay. Because it's transmitting, but my ears are transmitting AC wavelengths. It is taking in AC wavelengths for sound, and I am outputting AC wavelengths. You might be saying something above my thing as well, because the fact that you're communicating with knowledge of AC and DC, like I said a couple of years ago, if you told me like this communicates this way and this is how it communicates and all this stuff, I would have been like, you're stupid. I don't care. 12 volts in, 0 volts out. There's my voltage drop. That's all I give a crap about. HEI distributor. You put 12 volts to it, you get a zap out of it. As many of the shorts on this channel have shown, I have zapped myself more than once. That's all I cared about. I didn't care if it was AC or DC, but now I do, because, well, a modern car, you have to, sadly, know how it communicates to be able to read its communication to make sure that the communication is correct and it's working properly. But I can't believe I just spent half an hour talking, like last 20 minutes talking about AC/DC. Oh, hell. That's a rabbit hole down itself. Communication and the way it communicates is nuts. I wonder if we did a comparison transfer in how our brain communicates. How many bits per second is our brain communicating? Or megabits per second, based off of ones and zeros, time, clocking the measurement in which our brain processes information and outputs. I mean, I know I'm a little bit retarded. You take the distributor and you clock it back a little bit and slow it down. That works a little bit in here sometimes. Especially when I work all day, because I'm always learning stuff. You always have to be learning in this industry. I go and take some schooling and stuff and do it, and then I go work on a car. I'm fairly clocked back by that point in the day, and sometimes I do stupid things, like the short I just uploaded today. I'm watching the same thing you guys, and I'm going, what the heck am I watching? And someone even commented that, is this guy, whatever. And I said, yeah, my timing was a little bit off there. Because there are a lot of things that I'm like, why the heck did I do that? I shouldn't have done that. And this channel's full of them, because a lot of times, a lot of these videos are being made when I'm dead tired, and I'm like, let's get to work. Because if I don't do something today, nothing's getting done all week. And I have 8 videos to edit and upload based off of a awesome another thing that I bought that's coming to the channel. Even though I shouldn't buy any more stuff. No more projects. I have a bunch of projects in the yard. Even though we sold all the cars, I still have projects in the yard that need to get done. Because we have the 67 that always needs work constantly because I drive it daily, so stuff breaks on it daily. Driven daily, broken daily, fixed daily. Except for right now, me going to school, I have something that burns a lot less fuel. Because that can be hard, driving an hour into school every day and being like, yeah, I just burned a lot of fuel. My wallet's empty. But this is why when you drove somewhere, you stayed there. Because not having overdrive on a vehicle, the 1967 does not have overdrive. Not having overdrive and going highway speeds, holy heck. Those secondary butterflies open up and they scream and they sound wonderful. They sound beautiful. But my gas gauge goes down fairly fast once those secondaries open up. I can say that for sure. I mean, that gas gauge doesn't work, so what am I talking about? Another thing that doesn't work on it. It would be nice this year if I got the gas gauge to work. The vacuum line has to be fixed now because that broke because where the vacuum line ports through, because I was porting it off of the brake booster vacuum, where that was porting off of something came loose and now it's all rattling off the firewall and I was making it leak air and I was like, I don't have time to fix this right now. We just need to make the brakes work again. So I just cut it out with the system right now. I need to add it back into the system. Really do. And I'm thinking of porting it off the back of my manifold, but that's different. That's manifold pressure. I guess what I was reading before was manifold pressure for my pressure gauge. So I need to hook the vacuum pressure back up. I would like to do the oil pressure gauge. That would be nice to know because I've never known the oil pressure of that motor. I've always been like, yeah, it's good enough. I see oil in the rockers. You bump the starter and it spits oil out, the oil passages for the rockers. So I've always been like, good oil pressure. And it's lived for a couple of years now, has good compression. With it having deep dish pistons, so it's a low compression motor, sitting at 120 psi as a low compression motor, it's sitting pretty damn good with compression. Same with Spark. It's tuned by ear. We actually brought it into the college, and I actually need to make that video too of me driving it because I did. I drove it for the hour and I drove it for the 2-hour trip. Holy crap, there was $50 gone in my wallet. We hooked it up to the timing light, and we hooked up a couple different timing stuff for it because he's like, have you ever timed this motor? I'm like, no, I timed it by ear. That's all I ever needed. So we hooked up the timing light to it and everything, and they're like, we can't really fix this. You actually have it dead set on where it should be. Remember, your 1967 Chevy was built in an era of cheap gas where 55-mile speed limits were everywhere. Overdrive was not a necessity then. I 100% agree with you. But at 55 miles an hour in 1-to-1 ratio, it would take me, what is that? That's going like 75 in kilometers, I think. It would take me, then my 1-hour commute would turn into like a 2-hour commute, which is not horrible, really, reality-wise. That's why they call it Sunday night cruise night, because you cruise, you don't speed. You want to save fuel. You don't want that secondary butterfly opening up. Yeah, overdrive was a necessity then. I agree with you. And the SM420 has a crap load of torque. I can tell you that for sure. 55 miles an hour is about 90 kilometers an hour. Is it? I believe you. I'm not even going to freaking look it up or argue that because I don't know the conversion rate. Because I know everywhere in the States is like, the most you're supposed to go is like 80 miles per hour. And I got a speeding ticket, I think, in North Dakota, I want to say. I think so. I had to pay it online. When I went over to Niagara Falls a couple years ago, because I was going 100 miles per hour on the interstate. And yeah, he pulled me over. He's like, "You're going too fast." I'm like, "But it's Fun. I tried playing the card of I'm going with the flow of traffic. Oh, I don't know. I'm a Canadian. I'm reading this in kilometers. I'm just going with flow of traffic. Yeah, he didn't buy that too much. It was like, no, you're driving a car that's 3 different colors and is missing a muffler. Of course I pulled you over. But he's like, I don't want to see you. I don't want to deal with this because it's registered. It was insured and registered in Canada, Manitoba. He's like, I don't know how to. I'm done. Yeah, okay. So I was going like 120, buck 20, buck 25. It's fine. The speedometer on the truck is though the way I have it set up, just by because I pulled transmissions off of a bunch of trucks when I built the truck. I pulled enough outputs, and with the tire size, it's in because the gauge is in miles per hour. The gauge is exactly because I think I downsized it from the transmission to the speedometer. It's geared down with an external downgrader. It's exactly half. Whatever it says on miles per hour times by 2, and that's when I'm in kilometers an hour. I don't know how I got it all worked out or anything like that, but it works for me. So yeah, at the top of the middle of the gauge, like most modern gauges, when I'm going about 100 kilometers, which is fun because I've gone that truck up to 120, 130 kilometers an hour in Mexico, in 1-to-1 ratio with that truck, which is crazy. That's the fastest I've gotten it. It hasn't gone. I can't get it any faster because obviously I'm running 1-to-1 ratio. That's about 5,000 RPMs, 6, probably even 6,500 RPMs on that truck. They get it up to 130. It's crazy. I think I'm running about 4,500 RPMs at 100 kilometers an hour, I would say. Because it's the fuel really goes down fast when I put it 110. Like that's full throttle, both butterflies screaming. Like, oh, and it sounds wonderful. Don't get me wrong, it sounds beautiful. But a 4-barrel carburetor is just a 2-barrel carburetor with a second butterfly open for more air capacity and fuel capacity when needed. And I say needed because it's needed. It's a beautiful thing. The full throttle, a V8 motor with headers. But not nice for the wallet. And I agree with you. Yeah, like you never need to go extremely fast 1-to-1 ratio. You must have a 4.56-to-1 rear end. I don't know. I don't remember. When I played with that rear end, I had no idea what I was doing. And with rear end ratios, I really should just jack it up one day and turn it and see how many times for one full rotation of the wheel the pinion spins. It's not a big ratio. It's a 10 bolt. It's the GM 10 bolt in there. And I do remember when I bought the truck and stuff, that was redone by the previous owner. And I lifted it, I pulled it all up. I'm like, this all looks brand new. And it looked great. So I slapped a new gasket on it, put new fluid in it. And then that's the last I've ever touched it. Like, I would love to throw the 1-ton rear end in it, because the problem is it's 8 lugs. I'd like to keep the truck 6 lug because that's the way the tires are, and that's what I like. I have 2 sets of 6 lug tires for that truck. Craziness. Yeah, I don't know what's in that rear end. Most of the 10 bolts came with a 375-to-1 ratio. Yeah, it would be nice to see one day. Maybe I should make a short video on it where we jack up that truck and I talk about it and we go like, this is this ratio. And then I have a 12 bolt sitting there from Mechanics. 12 bolts sitting there. I have no idea what ratio that is either. But I'm like, I can stick a bigger ratio in a 12 bolt, I think, than I can a 10 bolt. And I was thinking about, well, if I spent some money here and put a posi or even a limited slip in that 12 bolt with really high highway gears, maybe that'll fit. Maybe I won't need overdrive, because it'd be nice to have better fuel mileage in that truck. Because I can only go like, I think 15 kilometers in first gear. I mean, it's first gear, it's crawling gear. That truck's a 3-speed. The SM420 is a 3-speed with a low gear. First gear is just granny gear crawl. But I think like at most it can go 15 kilometers an hour. I know I can get it up to like 10 most times through parking lots if I throw it in first. Which I obviously like. I only do when I have like the scrap trailer behind it when I'm heavy load, because I have no reason to use first gear in that truck ever. But that's just like the 1972 1-ton dump truck. That has a SM465, and that has a 3-ton rear end in it. Again, I don't know what the ratio is on it. It would be nice to know. I really should dive into this and figure that out, because rear end ratios might fix a lot of my problems. But yeah, the most on a good day, if I have the wind behind me, and that's a for sure thing. If I have the wind behind me, I've gone that truck up to 130. But that's it. That's where it maxes out. That's as top it'll ever freaking go. Most days it gets up to 110. Okay, I can get it up to 110 regularly in pretty much any condition. But that's going crazy. Like that truck, you really shouldn't do that. A sure way to check ratio is to pull the cover and count the teeth on the crown and pinion gears. Ratio equals crown teeth divided by pinion gear. Yeah, that makes sense. I agree with you. Maybe I should pull it, even to change the gear fluid in it, because the gear fluid, it's been a couple years. It's like that truck needs an oil change badly. I can't believe I can finally read the. I put a dipstick in it finally, because I had a dipstick in it. The dipstick was not proper to that truck, because the dipstick was for when I had the oversized oil pan in the truck. When I built the truck, I put a huge, and we painted it yellow. It was on the channel when I was in my ex-brother-in-law's shop there. We painted the oil pan yellow and the thermostat housing yellow. Well, the oil pan's not yellow anymore. The reason for that huge oil pan that I loved, it was awesome to hold that much capacity of oil for the engine. It had rust pinholes in it in a couple spots, in more than one spot. It was thin. It was done. It lived its life. So I had to put a normal oil pan on it, but the dipstick obviously didn't read that correctly and stuff like that. So I had to take it out, and it broke halfway out. And I was like, I don't have time or money to fix this, because that was the first time around I went to college. So we put some silicone and put a silicone dot where the dipstick's supposed to go. And it was like that for like a year and a half, 2 years. Yeah. Has a chrome oil dipstick now. And I can read the oil level. When I put it in, I checked it. I was like, it's at level. Perfect. So I've been running at level. It's good. It needs an oil change badly, like horribly. And I really should do that. And I'm going to do that when I'm done my schooling in a week and a half here, because time. I don't know if people care about a video on an old school GM. An old school 5.7 with 307 heads that have been machined a bit bigger, so the intake is bigger than the exhaust port, and I think, if I can recall correctly. It's been a while. I put that motor together years ago now. Which we put all on the channel. I bet if someone watched through those videos and knew what they were looking at, they would go, yeah, I know what that is. Versus somebody like me, I have a general idea. But yeah, maybe I'll have to do that too. Do a full fluid change on the truck, because it's been a couple of years now. I could probably use a trans flush. Needs an oil change for sure. because I've only done a couple oil changes on it since I built the truck. Needs an oil change for sure. Rear end fluid change, maybe. Because, maintenance the vehicle. Make it last forever. I do know on that transmission, though, that transmission only had 60,000 miles on it when I bought it. Out of the grain truck it came out of, which was awesome. I only paid like $50 for that transmission. I was happy with that. That was a good day. That was a good marketplace find. That engine, I think I have like $800 into that motor, which is not horrible. Like, because I traded an LS for it, and then I traded an LS I had for it, and then, which was on the channel here too, and then I had to buy gaskets for it. Oh, I guess I have a lot more into it now because I just put a brand new carb in it, and that was $300. And I bought some chrome pieces. No, 60,000 miles is nothing for that transmission. Yeah, like the transmission on the 1-ton, the 72 1-ton, is an SM465, and that transmission has outlived two engines because that was a commercial work truck all the way up until 2011. That truck has a lot of miles on it, and that's the reason why we have the new frame for it, because that truck's been driven and used. But yeah, so I think in miles per se, how many miles I put on the truck, there might be 80,000 miles on that truck at most now. Like, really not a lot, because I think I've only, I think I put probably 20,000 miles on the truck, because I don't read the speedometer. I don't read the gauge. The gauge is like flopped once or twice. It's fucked off on me. Because whatever, I just care about speedometer. But yeah, I would say so, because I've had it now driving on the road for 3-4 years. And I, like, especially the work, I drive it daily. So I probably put a 100 or 200 kilometers on it a week, because I drive here, there, and we use it to pick up stuff because it's a truck. But yeah, I will play with gear ratios eventually here, because I would really love to build that rear end. I have a 12 bolt. I would really love to stick a limited slip in it and have fun. Really, that's the truth on it. I would love to have fun with it and just push it through. I've also thought of, what if I go and buy a 80s square body frame, 4x4 frame, and change the frame platform that truck sits on, because that frame, because it's driven on our salt roads, there is one spot on it, it's starting to get thin. And the only reason it's starting to get thin is because when I was doing that brake video, I was underneath the truck there, and I'm looking through, and I saw a little pinhole. And you can tell the difference between a rust pinhole and a drill pinhole. Yeah, it's starting to get thin on the driver's side behind the cab mount bracket, where the crossmember sits and stuff like that, behind that crossmember mount. So it's tied in there. I'm not worried about it being weak or anything there. There's a tiny little rust pinhole. I'm being like, oh, that sucks. And I mean, that's what we're trying to stop on the 72 project, because that frame, I think that truck, the frame that we have is from the 67 1-ton, that green truck that was on the channel. That truck, I think, only had like 74,000 miles on it, and the frame was immaculate. The frame was like repainted 4 different times. That's why there's so many colors on the back end of that frame. It is a little fucked in the front. We are fixing that. The front cross members being replaced with a good one. I do have to bend the one rail out a little bit because it got pushed in because it looked like they were using the truck to ram stuff and then yank it out and whatever. That truck had a fucked up motor. It had a 283 in it, but it didn't have a proper 283 in it because that was a farm truck. It was a cabbage chassis. I would think that would have came with a full 4-bolt main from factory. Maybe not, but it had a 283 2-bolt main in it. And that motor, the passenger side, all of the push rods and some of the rocker arms were broken off and the push rods were bent to hell. And that motor was seized stiff. And that's where my parts, I have a NSM 420 parts transmission that's sitting at the farm. That transmission, the main ring gear on it has like, I think 2 or 3 teeth missing out of it in one section, in one chunk. And I think also one of the sliders is broken on it. Not horrible, but what happened was the whole thing, the motor seized, transmission, like they must have been doing something with it, and it just folded on itself. But I mean, that truck, that cab had, I remember that cab. That cab had potato bags and Sprite bottles to build the rocker and then fiberglassed over it. That's how they rebuilt the rockers on that farm truck before I got it. And then I got it. I sold the cab. The guy only wanted the title, and I had the title for it, so that went off and did its merry way. Especially with that cab being smacked by that tree. That cab, the whole cab a little bit was a little off from the firewall, the front one A-pillar. It wasn't like smushed, and you could only slightly tell, but it was just slightly twisted when that tree hit it and knocked it off the frame. Because we unbolted it from the frame. It was just kind of sitting kind of on it, and the tree fell and it shrunk and pushed it off. I was like, okay. I was so worried about that frame when that tree hit it, because when the tree weight was on it, the frame was like down on one side. I'm like, it's twisted. I fucked it. I did. No. I walked past that frame sitting inside my front, that's sitting right outside my front door to the house. The wife hates it a little bit because she has to walk beside it every day when she leaves. That frame's straight. It's straight. I'm not worried about it. It'll last forever. And the fact that they put 4 or 5 different paint codes on it and they welded so much metal onto that rear end, it protected all the base metal. And we're cutting off all the rotten metal and all the added metal that was put onto it. And we're getting back to the factory metal. And the factory metal is like, it's mint. It's cherry. Like, I can't complain about it. So the 72 will get a new frame, and that truck will live on forevermore. Which I can't wait to do, but I need to do it. I need to jump on it. I'm trying to convince my father to come out and say, hey, we need to jump back on our project here. And I think what it is mostly is I'm probably have to jump on it first to try and get him in on it. Which I get. We're busy. We both live lives. He's only like 19 years older than me. So he's still in the working stage of his life too. So he's still pushing and working hard and getting promotions and working up that ladder. Same as me. I'm just at the bottom and he's in the middle. Oh, rabbit holes. See? This is where I love. Man, I appreciate you being part of the live stream because you help push what I'm communicating. Because I started off talking about, hey, look, I'm in college, and the college is actually really helpful, and it's really good. I really respect my professors. They really don't care about the politics of this. They're very much on the scale of, this is the politics of this, and this is what they need me to tell you. This is what I'm going to tell you, because this is what's going to help you in this industry push forward, which I love. I have a little Wi-Fi signal on me. What does that mean? Connection is unstable. If you're on Wi-Fi, try plugging into your router or moving closer to it. Oh, I guess because it's now 9 o'clock. Yeah, okay, that went away. No longer a problem. It's that time of the night apparently where everyone's jumping on their internet, and it throttles my internet down a little bit. It's peak time, 9:30 at night. But this live stream's coming to an hour. I've noticed I've talked about it for an hour, and I need to read a chapter of that book. So I'm maybe calling it a night. I really appreciate you joining the live stream, and anybody who's maybe watching the live stream afterwards. Thank you, because I need the watch hours, because the channel's almost at 1,000 subscribers, and we just passed 1,000 watch hours from videos, not shorts. Shorts are crazy. I don't even know how to compute how shorts work. I have no idea how shorts work. I just know shorts are the main thing bringing people to the channel, and then they're going off the shorts and watching the main videos. So I know shorts are working for me somehow. I just don't fully know how. I don't know how those ones and zeros are transmitting. But I do have to say thanks. We are over 900 subscribers. We're on our way to 1,000 subscribers, which is, it's taken 4 years, because if I go to videos, don't mind me, videos oldest 3 years ago, and I think it was 4 years ago, summer was the first video on here. Oh, it doesn't even say the month. Shorts are YouTube's answer to Instagram. Yeah, I know. But it does work. And it's weird how shorts, views, and watch hours don't count towards your income. It does count towards your income once you have the income, but it doesn't count towards your gatekeeper to earning income on YouTube. Words. Blah. Which is crazy, because like on shorts, I think the most viewed short is 120,000 views, which is mind-blowing. Me besting a tench. Holy crap, my speech is horrible tonight. Me bench testing a starter on the ground. You need like a gazillion shorts to make it. Yeah, it's. But like I said, shorts bring subscribers to this channel, which then these people are watching the videos. You're watching these videos, and I appreciate it. It makes me happy. The video on the 1920 Chevy did so well. I'm like, crud. I need to get back out to Saskatchewan, and I need to convince that family to let me do something with it. I doubt it. I bet you that truck's going to sit there for the next 100 years. It's been there for 100 years. It's going to be there for 100 more, because everyone is very sentimental and attached to it, and they've been like, it's been there forever. So why would we move it until it becomes a pile of rot? Just like when we explored the family junkyard there, a lot of those cars are just, they're at the point, some of them are savable, but some of them are at the point where they're just no longer savable. Like the Pontiac Parisienne out there, that car is gone. There's no metal left to that car. It looks like a decent car from 20 feet back, but you start looking at the A-pillars, you start looking at the floor, you start looking underneath at the frame rails and stuff. That car's gone. It's getting scrapped. Why? There's just nothing left of it, because it's been sitting there for 30, 40 years. And it's hard. In the last 4 years, that four-door 1940s Buick that's sitting there, I want it so bad. I've been trying to convince family forever to let me buy it. I'll buy it for double scrap price for it. In the last 4 years ago, there used to be side steps on that car. Now, there aren't. The ground is just eating it. And like, it's just, they're gone. The side steps on that car are gone. And I bet you the frame rails on that car are gone. But if you open it up and you look at where the wooden floorboards used to be that are no longer there and mixed in with all the rodent livingness, you can see the floor, and I can see that the frame is on the ground. The ground hasn't raised above the frame. The ground is just raised from the outside from all the wind blowing, because it's in the middle of a farmer's field. When you blow sand and wind and everything, especially in your harvest season and when in your plant season, dirt piles up against things. Erosion, wind erosion, that's how that works. Those sides are, the ground level is level with those step sides, but actually underneath the car, it's about a foot to 2 feet lower. So the fenders are savable. Like I could definitely tell the fenders are savable and the main body's savable on that car. I want that car so badly. That car, I've been dreaming about that car ever since I first laid eyes on it. Because suicide door, 4-door Buick. Oh, freak. That is like a car I dream about working on. And I love all this 20s and 40s stuff. I wish I could afford 20s and 40s stuff. Where I live right now, 20s and 40s stuff in that shape that Buick is sitting, and even in the shape of that one English car sitting out there, is like $3,000 to $4,000 as just a body in rough shape. My buddy over at Zombie Body Shop, they have actually a car. They have a van in the back that came from California, from the desert. And this van has been so hit with sand, it's been sandblasted its whole life, that the entire thing is so paper thin. And the guy is like, I have like $5,000 into this. I'm like, you have $5,000 into something that we can't do nothing with, because there's nothing left of it. It is so paper thin that we weld, we tack, we cut, we do anything to this, it is never going back together. It is yard art. It's sad to say that, because I wish everything is savable and stuff like that, but not everything is. And 20s and 40s stuff, I would love to freaking bring something home and play with it and build it. That would be a long-term, slow, amazing project. I even have a driveline sitting in the garage ready for something like that. Not a fast driveline, and it's from a local YouTuber in Winnipeg. I don't want to give it away yet because I haven't made a video on it, even though that engine's been sitting in my garage for a year. Well, not in the garage. I've had that motor for a year. I need to play with it and make a video on it, and especially give the old Hot Rod Jesus a good intro with it. But that kind of gave it away there. Whateverness. I said I was leaving. I could talk forever, and this is the problem. Especially about cars and hot rods, and this is why I work on hot rods. This is why I could give a crap less about new cars. I love the engines. I love the performance side of it. A lot of the new technology is really cool, especially like what Edison Motors is doing right now. What Edison Motors in Alberta, I want to say, is their main thing. And their truck Top C, their brand new truck that they made, just passed all of its regulations in Ontario and is being shipped back to them for them to get registration and licensing on it. And it's going to be a real road legal truck, ready to go, ready for road, ready for them to mass produce and make more production vehicles up, which is awesome. Because they're partnering, in BC. Sorry, my mistake. Edison Motors in BC, and they are partnering up with the Boss Garage in Ontario to help them come up with their conversion kits on more consumer level trucks, not half tons, but like 1 tons to 5 tons. And I'm like, I wish I had this money, because I have my finger hovering over putting my spot in for a Edison Motors conversion kit. I want one. Because it's cool. It's cool technology. It's newer technology. It has CAN bus within itself. They will sell the whole CAN bus kit for the computer system to read off of, for the brain, to run the generator, to tell the generator when the fire, to tell to pull power off the generator to the batteries, to have the battery send freaking stuff to the, it's, yeah. Chance Barber is getting interested all over the continent. Is that his name? Or is that, yeah, here, freak, we'll show that. Hey, look. I didn't know I could do that. See, another great thing about StreamYard. I'm gonna have to look up that name. Is that his name that's running? See, I know the name of the truck that they're building. Oh, okay, that is who he is. Thank you for informing me on his name. I did not know his name there, which is bad because I'm talking about him, and I was even talking to him in school, and I have started up like 3 different conversations in my class about Edison Motors and how it's, because I've watched a lot of his videos on how the engineering works and the way the system is built. But I guess I was more interested in the technology in the truck than I was really the name, which is sad. You should know names. And names are one of the worst things for me. Hands down. I'm in class with 12 other students. I know one student's name. I've been with them for the last 5 weeks. I only know one student. I know their personalities. I can identify which each one is, but name-wise, sorry, one student also shares the name with my one teacher. So I know 2 students. I probably know 3 if I really think, and then maybe 4. But I don't know. I can tell for sure I don't know all 12 names. Names don't stick in my head. See, that's where the timing is set back a little bit in my brain. But it's really cool technology. All of it's really cool technology. A lot of this technology is amazing. And this is where learning about new stuff about this stuff, it brings a lot of light to it, and it brings a lot of amazement. It's like, and new technology is everywhere. It's like an HEI distributor in that small block Chevy. Did that truck ever come with an HEI distributor? No. That is something that is not error correct to the truck. Is an HEI distributor. Everything else is pretty much, for the most part, all built around the same era, decade, except for the distributor. The distributor is the only thing that is modernized on that truck. Yeah, that's crazy to think about, actually. That truck is error correct for everything except for the fact that it doesn't have points and coil. Which is okay, because the 72 has points and coil. So we'll play with it there. And I played with, on the channel, the 57 Allison has points and coil. Good system, very reliable, works a lot of the time. It is a lower voltage, and it's mechanical. Mechanical wears out. Electronic wears out as well, but it turns this giant system that has 3 different parts to do one thing into one system to do one thing. Which we've moved that into a module now. The entire ignition system on a motor now gets controlled by the PCM. And then we just circle back into that. See, that's where I say I take the mechanical side of it, of what they're teaching me, to put it into each individual part so I can understand it, because it makes it a little more digestible for my brain. But thank you for watching. I need to stop talking because now I have to poo. So now that's where it's telling me, yeah, it's probably time to settle down, go and spend some time with my wife, and enjoy the evening. So thank you very much for watching. Let me know if you want me to start doing this every Wednesday or every second Wednesday, but Wednesdays are the live stream date. Something to consider: you can drag one of those old vehicles out of the field and make it drive you again. Drive me again. I should just do this. Something to consider: you can drag one of those old vehicles out of the field and make it drive again. What are the chances that will happen in 30 years with modern vehicles? 100% agree. 100% agree. Because modules can corrode, because you have so many different so many different types of metal in a little plastic case, that when those metals over time stay together, they have a chemical imbalance to each other. So especially when you introduce something like water, salt, or even just natural age, those things wear out, especially like ribbon cables. Ribbon cables don't last forever. I play a bunch of vintage video games. I fix ribbon connectors, and I fix connectors, and I resolder the boards all the time to be able to play, like, even my original Nintendo Entertainment System. I love that thing. But occasionally it needs to be tinkered with and fixed. I do think there will be people doing it, 100%. I do think there will be people like the Holly Terminator kits for... I think they probably have something for... Well, yeah, it's a Holly Terminator kit for an LS. I think you will be able to take a vehicle from 30 years ago from there and be able to stick a new, simplified modern system into it to make it run and drive. Because you will always have people making things, one, for nostalgia reasons, and two, for poverty reasons, middle class reasons of, hey, I can't afford a new vehicle. The main reason I drive the 67 every day to work, I can't afford a new truck. I can't afford a new car. I can't afford anything. The wife gets the nice car. I drive my old truck because that's all I can afford to drive. But on that note, I'm heading to bed. Thank you very much, man, for keeping the conversation up. I really respect that. I really enjoy it. And these are conversations I actually do very much enjoy having, because there's a lot of passion being thrown into this. But have a good night, man. Oh, get some sleep by yourself. Go enjoy the rest of your evening. And you know what? We'll see you in the next video, because I've been okay with making sure of posting videos at least once a week. So thank you for being part of the stream. Have a good night.